This week I made 2 roast chickens. Paul took me on a date night. We had our first meal outside of the summer. I made Paul's favorite fried chicken. I had a new recipe fail, and I'll show you how I make my homemade soup. Welcome back to Feeding My Fam 5. Monday night was date night, y'all. Somehow all 3 kids were out for the day. Jamie and Sarah were at work, and Matthew was in class. So Paul and I were left to our own devices for lunch, and we ended up at McDonald's. I know it sounds crazy, but for me, going to McDonald's and eating inside is a treat. So that's exactly what we did. Later for supper, we went for something a little bit more upscale. Paul took me to Cooper's Hawk. And yeah, we've been here a couple of times before, and it's always really good. We each had the shrimp and crab and lobster bisque, which is always delicious. I had a cup, he had a bowl. Then for our mains, Paul couldn't decide what he wanted between the pork chop or the filet, so I ordered one and he ordered the other. Um, Neither of us were huge on the pork chop, but we've decided next time we'll split the filet, and I'll have that delicious coleslaw, and he'll have the potatoes. Tuesday night, the whole day just got away from me. So Paul, Sarah, Matthew, and I ended up at Chick-fil-A. A very good choice for a last minute supper substitute. Wednesday was back at home. Happy Wednesday, y'all. We're eating outside. Light's almost gone, so I gotta hurry. Okay, we're doing ribeye sandwiches. I got some really thin ribeyes, and I marinated those. I made some toasty bread on the grill, and some Nathan's fries, some Alfredo, and homemade ranch, and some homemade mushrooms. So, yeah, yum. All right, Thursday. So, have you ever tried a recipe that you cooked all day? It smells delicious. You took a bite and it was awful. Well, that's what my Thursday was. All laid out, it looks beautiful. I made smothered cube steaks with potatoes and gravy, mostaccioli, jarfredo, little green peas, and a new corn recipe that I found on another YouTube channel, In the Kitchen with Talli Faye. It's called Cowboy Corn. This was the meal saving grace, and I highly suggest this recipe. The only thing I did different was put some toasted breadcrumbs over the top. Her link is below. So I've seen smothered cube steaks all over YouTube, but I've never done it. I've never done anything but fry them. So I thought I would try this one. And I'm not going to mention the recipe that I used for it because they have a lot of other recipes that are amazing, but I won't be making this one again. On Friday, Sarah's mouth was hurting. She had had her braces adjusted the day before. And so I thought maybe if I made something nice and warm, it would make her mouth feel better. So I put on a pot of homemade beef vegetable soup. Right here, you can see me. I'm just cutting up a couple of yellow onions, and then I'm just going to go back and just rough chop them in no formal training fashion whatsoever. I'm going to put those back to the side. And then, yeah, my knife was so dull. And this is an Aldi roast that I had bought a couple of months ago. It's been in the freezer. And I struggled with this knife getting all that silver skin off. You could ride to Chicago and back on the blade of this knife. It's so dull. But anyway, I cut those up into just like bite-sized pieces or so. And then I'm going to put those back to the side. And this is where I'm going to get this is a big stock pot. And you can't really see how big it is, but it's a big stock pot. Put my oil in there. And then there's getting my flour ready for my beef. So I had salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Seasoned my flour. And don't forget your Tonys. And put my beef in there and shook it up. Made sure it was all coated. And then I'm going to put it in my pan. And I don't worry about overcrowding, really. I just want to get it, kind of crusty and get some of that crust off to the bottom of the pot. Adding a little bit more. And yeah, so then I'm going to, once it's all nice and crusty, I put in my onions and then my French onion soup. I just put in one package of it and let that cook down. And it started really sticking to the bottom. You could smell it. And I'm like, oh. So the fastest thing I could grab was that chicken stock. But anyway, I put some of that in there, and then I just started putting a bunch of water in it. I don't measure anything. I'm sorry. My measurement goes like this. You get a spoon, you get a glob out, and put it in there, as you can see right here. And that was the quickest spoon I could find. So again, I don't measure anything. I'm one of those people. I put a little bit more water in there because I was afraid maybe I put too much that it had gotten salty. And then you let it cook and let it come to a boil. Stir that up, and then I started putting in my veggies. I had some frozen little tomatoes from last summer in the freezer, and I had some leftover lima beans. Like I said, this is a good clear out your freezer. I had some sweet peas left over, so put those in there, and what is this? The butter beans. Put in some butter beans. Just finished off my bag of that. And my corn. So I don't put a whole lot of corn in it, just enough, because once you start dumping it in, the whole bag will come flying out. So just be real careful with that. Give that a little stir. And then I'm going to go, I found some green beans, dump the rest of those in there. And then I had a couple of carrots in the refrigerator. Those are going to go in there. I'm going to stir those up. Then my seasonings, I got my 2 bay leaves, and I put another little half one in there for just in case. And this is where I realized that my video cut off. I remember that my phone died, but I didn't think it was this soon. So basically, I cooked this for another couple of hours and, tasted it, added a little more seasoning, but it didn't need a whole lot. And that was it. I made some cornbread to go with that and put some butter on top of it. And this was probably the best homemade soup I have ever made. Saturday, it was just Paul, Matthew, and me. Jamie and Sarah both at work. And so I just did some fried chicken, mashed potatoes, buttered noodles. I did some little English peas and gravy to put over every bit of it. I had plenty of leftovers for the kids when they got home. Welcome to Sunday. Instead of lunch today, we did Sunday supper. And I did 2 roast chickens. Paul and I are going on a trip to the UK in a couple of weeks and wanted to have plenty of chicken and gravy left over to put in the freezer. So I made 2 chickens. I made some roast potatoes. I made some Alfredo. Sarah made herself a little caprese salad. I made another green salad with some cheese sprinkled over the top. And then I made chicken gravy and then Bisto gravy. And yeah, please ignore my light sitting over there. But yeah, it was so good. Those potatoes, oh my gosh. We used the carb smart ones. Y'all, those are just amazing. We have never had a bad potato. And I have made baked potatoes with them. I have made mashed potatoes and, of course, roast potatoes. Try them out if you can find them. Well, that was our week. What was your week like? If you want to share, a meal with me, please do. Send me a photo of your home cooked meal to kat@feedingmyfam5.com with the subject line fam meal, and let me know about it. Was it a family favorite? Was it a hit? Did you have a real bomb this week like I did? Yeah, let me know. And I would love to start picking submissions one every week to, feature here and share it with everybody else. So until next week, y'all, I hope you have a lot of great meals ahead of you, and y'all wash your hands and come on.